um, Top 10 fat loss supplements. So on the left hand side here, I wrote down some considerations, because when you think about how does a supplement help you with fat loss, then you want to be thinking about at least several of these things here, and how they relate to weight loss. So for example, you want to be looking at things that help with suppressing appetite, right? Because the idea being that if it helps you feel full while consuming little to no calories, then you're less likely to be wanting to snack all day and subsequently overeat. So if there's a product that helps with appetite suppression, then that's one that you want to be interested in. There are several supplements that have known appetite suppression benefits. Another one is energy production. So another way to look at this is that when you go on a diet, what a lot of research will show in animals, and the same phenomenon tends to happen in people. I've seen it a million times with people who weigh in and they're working really hard, and they get on the scale and they're like, what the heck? I've been working like crazy, and why isn't this thing moving? And that's because we know that in animals there's a spontaneous reduction in physical activity when you go on a diet. So animals will just reduce the amount they move during the rest of the day to counteract the reduction in food intake. So the last thing you want to do is be working out really hard and then not realize that the rest of the day you got no energy, so you're not really moving that much. Your overall calorie burn goes down, and then you're doing all that hard work for nothing, so to speak. I mean, there's obviously benefits of exercise, but you're hoping to move this in the right direction, right? So we want to be able to do whatever you can to keep your energy production throughout the day very high. And there are certain, again, substances and supplements and things that can help us with increasing our overall energy throughout the day. Not to mention just in a workout. A lot of times I see people working out and I see them getting shaky and nauseous and dizzy, and a lot of that is coming from, as you get more and more fit, it'll improve. But there are ways to eat before you work out that will dramatically improve your energy, so you'll be able to push harder, work harder. And remember, those who produce more energy in a workout, they're able to do those higher intensity levels, are going to have better changes in their body than those who have to sort of just eke through the workout, right? So we want to get our energy high. Thermogenesis or lipolysis is kind of similar. They're referring to the body's ability to raise our metabolic rate as well as burn fat. And there are chemicals and substances that increase our body's ability to release fat from a fat cell and push it into the blood. So remember, if you have fat on your body that you can pinch, the only way to get it off of you is it has to enter the bloodstream first. So the fat cell is not in the blood, it's apart from the bloodstream. But think of the bloodstream as sort of like a road or a path that delivers food to the fat cell. But likewise, when you're trying to get fat out of a fat cell, you have to have the fat enter into the blood, and there are chemicals and things that we do that cause this to happen. One of the biggest ones is stress. So stress and fasting, one form of stress is exercise, right? It's stressful, right? It raises the production of catecholamines, adrenaline, norepinephrine. These are the same chemicals, cortisol is another one, that all go up during fasting, and they all go up during exercise. So there are also chemicals that induce you could call it chemical stress, like caffeine, that will cause the production of catecholamines and adrenaline that now push fat into the fat or into the blood. And now if we're moving at the same time, we can now catalyze the burning up or the oxidation of that fat and get it out of our body. And how it goes out of our body, strange as it may sound, is through our breath. So if you ever wonder where does fat go when you lose it, you literally are breathing it away. It goes out of your breath. The vast majority of the fat that is on you, you're breathing into the air. So we want to try to take in substances that can increase and support our body's ability to do that as well. Protein synthesis, remember, a big part of losing weight is what we're really saying is losing fat, right? Not weight. Yes, we want that number on the scale to go down if we have a lot of weight to lose, but we're really trying to increase or support, at the very least, our lean skeletal muscle, because it's the largest driver of our overall metabolic rate. So we don't want to lose muscle while we're losing fat. Best case scenario, we build some muscle, we get stronger while losing fat at the same time. And so it's important that we consume sufficient protein and consume supplements that are going to support protein synthesis so that we can preserve our skeletal muscle as we go, keep metabolism high. Calorie reduction, what are things that can help us to eat less calories, which is somewhat similar to appetite suppression, but not all things help us eat less by just suppressing appetite. There are things we can take that allow us to actually eat foods, but yet we're not able to absorb as many calories simply by taking this supplement with that meal, like fiber. So when we consume fiber interferes with the absorption of calories we've eaten from other meals and can actually block the absorption of a lot of those calories. So studies, for example, on flaxseed, ground flaxseed, show that there was a big increase in what they call fecal fat excretion, meaning that literally more of the fat that they were eating was being excreted in their stool because the fiber was binding to that fat and preventing it from being absorbed. So when we consume fiber with our meals, we're going to literally absorb fewer calories. And so fiber is really, there's a reason why fiber is number one on the list as the most important weight loss supplement. Inflammation, we talked about this in class a little bit too, that the root cause of weight gain, ultimately, if you really want to go deep, is inflammation, and particularly how inflammation affects the brain's ability to monitor and control leptin. So we know that if we can get inflammation down, so if we can look for anti-inflammatory supplements that we know drop inflammation, that they're going to have a net effect on helping us with our weight and improving, which in this next one here is improving leptin sensitivity. Leptin sensitivity is our brain's way of counting calories. If you don't have good leptin sensitivity, you can't accurately count the calories that you eat, and so you tend to always overeat and not even know you're doing it. So, but if we can improve leptin sensitivity by one, reducing things that are pro-inflammatory in our diet and our body, but then adding in things that are have known anti-inflammatory effects and things that are known to improve leptin sensitivity, like certain types of teas. Like for example, one of the best is oolong tea. Oolong tea is high in what are called T saponins, and T saponins have been shown to improve leptin sensitivity in the brain. So that would be another good one that we're attacking this from a different angle. And then over here, it's hard to see because you see all these scribble lines here. Improving insulin sensitivity and gene activation of fat burning. So believe it or not, there are foods and substances that actually activate genes that burn more fat. So for example, studies on psyllium fiber. We always keep coming back to fiber because unlike all the others below, it's almost like fiber does everything. It's activating genes, it's increasing thermogenesis, it's doing so many things, making us feel full, so it's suppressing the appetite. So like literally if you had to take nothing on this list but the top one, it'd be having a regular diet overall that's high in fiber of assorted kinds, but then also consuming supplements and or foods that are high in fiber to help support if you find it hard to get that straight from your meals. So we see that, for example, on psyllium, we saw that it actually turned on or activated genes that were associated with fat burning just by consuming psyllium fiber on a regular basis. So that's a cool one because literally it's just like eating something and your body turns on fat burning as a result. And then insulin sensitivity, because insulin resistance is sort of the cause, it leads to leptin resistance. So we know that a single bad meal induces a state of insulin resistance that then induces a state of leptin resistance. When your body senses highly palatable foods coming in, it literally is just like if I were to tell all of you right now, there's a gas sale down the road, gas is 25 cents a gallon right now. If you go fill up right now, you can have as much as you want. Everybody would be lined up down the road. So when your brain perceives highly palatable foods, it literally says, wait a second, this stuff's like abundant and it tastes really good, it's loaded with calories, it's on sale. So now is the time to stockpile. So the last thing we want to do is tell this person to stop eating. In fact, what we want to do is shut off the natural appetite suppression mechanisms that we'd have if we were, say, eating broccoli. If I said, hey, there's a broccoli sale down the road, no one's gonna, there's not gonna be a line of cars going down the road, right? No one's gonna overeat broccoli, but we will overeat brownies and pizza and chips and these things because the brain actually induces a state of leptin resistance, which basically just means let's turn off their appetite suppression and let's just get them to gobble up as many calories as possible and create essentially what we call a binge mechanism so that we can stockpile calories for the day when the next famine comes. And then obviously, unfortunately, in our case, the famine never comes, right? So these are the top 10 supplements over here, and I drew all these arrows just to show you how much crossover and linkage there is between them. A lot of them do more than one thing. Fiber has the most arrows pointing to it because it does the most things. So this is like an example of a soluble fiber, like say Metamucil. If you get fibers, be really careful to make sure you're not adding in a bunch of added sugar or artificial sweeteners. Because a lot of times you go to the drugstore and you can get like Metamucil or something, and then you look on the back of the label and one of the main ingredients is sucrose, which is table sugar, right? Or it'll say sucralose. Now you got artificial sweeteners. This one is one of their natural line that's just got some stevia in it. So not too bad if you don't mind the stevia. But you can get these fiber like this one here that has no sugar or stevia or anything. It's not going to taste very great, but it's just plain old psyllium husk fiber. That's just a rich source of soluble fiber. That fiber could be mixed in like we have everybody knows the Kool-Aid drink, right? You could put half a teaspoon in there. Start with fiber small, and remember the best fiber comes from food. So we use fiber supplements strategically, ideally when we're eating meals that are not so great. And you'll notice if you look at our meal plan template, we talk about the flex meal and the importance of consuming fiber prior to that meal. And oftentimes the supplemental form can be really convenient and healthy to have as a substitution. Creatine monohydrate has been hundreds and hundreds of studies. It's considered to be one of the safest supplements that is beneficial for both men and women, but for some reason you mostly see guys taking it. Girls seem to be a little bit more hesitant to take creatine, which is unfortunate because it has a lot of benefits, not just for only building muscle, but also energy production. Essentially, that's what creatine does. It helps our body to replenish ATP and essentially increase our energy, especially when it comes to high intensity activities like weightlifting or high intensity activity of shorter duration. Another cool thing about creatine is it also helps with, now new studies are showing, mood and cognition. So it just helps you have better focus and better just overall energy production. So very, very healthy. Our body naturally makes creatine, but it's supported more so in diets that are more, I would say if you're eating a lot of meat, you're gonna have already quite a bit of creatine in your diet. Whereas if you're eating more, say, plant-based and you're trying to eat a little less red meat for whatever the reasons, that having creatine as a supplement may be even more beneficial just to get a little bit more in your system. Caffeine, I mentioned a little bit already, it increases the production of catecholamines. It's a natural appetite suppressant. It's even banned in some sports because it actually gives competitors an edge over the other athletes. It increases performance, and studies even show that it helps with post-exercise muscle soreness. So it actually can, by consuming caffeine prior to your workout, it can actually help with a little bit of recovery after as well. Caffeine supplemented with L-theanine, such as this product right here. One of the cool things is it helps to get rid of the jitters or the crash. If you typically are very sensitive to caffeine, when taking caffeine with L-theanine, you get more steady, even energy without the shakes and the jitters. So a lot of people like to have something like that, like caffeine and L-theanine. This one here comes, for example, in a capsule that you could take in the morning, or I like to take these primarily before exercise because they're going to give you more energy, more focus, and you're also it's going to help liberate more fat that you can use for energy during your workout. Black cumin, this one I talked about way back prior to the whole COVID thing, was because back at the time I had been reading all this stuff about how black cumin had been researched as an antiviral, it boosts the immune system, and it helped with the reduction of overall cytokines in the body, which when COVID came out, everything was all like cytokine storm, cytokine storm. Cytokines are these inflammatory molecules that in the case of like COVID, you are seeing this huge surge of cytokines. And we know that anyone who's overweight already has excess cytokine production because fat tissue itself manufactures these things. So anything that can help your body deal with inflammation and lower overall cytokines, and go figure, a bunch of research has been done on black cumin and weight loss. Subjects who added in just 1 to 2 tablespoons of ground black cumin seeds or in a black cumin seed oil, you can get this as a supplement, had significant weight loss compared to those who were just, say, taking a placebo. So black cumin is it's kind of like the spice cumin, but it comes in like little black seeds, and they should be ground to get the benefits because you're not going to be able to really break through that seed layer. Or like I said, you can get it in an oil or capsules. Just make sure you really do your homework on getting a good quality company to make sure the oils are preserved and have not oxidized. I would argue that getting the seeds is cheaper and has way more benefits than just getting the oil, partly because we'll also get the fiber and the lignans that are naturally in the seeds, which will not oftentimes be very high in the oil. Apple cider vinegar. Everybody's been hearing about apple cider vinegar, and again, research actually supports apple cider vinegar as being a possible benefit for people from a couple of different ways. One is apple cider vinegar lowers the blood sugar response to meals that contain carbohydrate. So if we add, and if we have a starchy meal in particular, having a little apple cider vinegar or lemon juice, as long as it doesn't bother your stomach, if you have acid reflux or any digestive things where it bothers your throat, anything like that, then you might want to be cautious. But apple cider vinegar also, in one Japanese study, showed significant reduction in visceral belly fat, and that was because they believe that when you drink apple cider vinegar, they saw the elevation of this compound here, AMPK, which is a compound that again you see go up in fasting. And they saw that apple cider vinegar actually boosted AMPK, and you can buy supplements that are AMPK boosters that are very expensive. And so, a lot of people now are saying, hey, why not just get a cheaper version that raises AMPK naturally from, like, say, raw apple cider vinegar? And so some people like to do this in water, and drink that, or, to dilute it a little bit. But you could also do, salad dressings and things like that as well to get that apple cider vinegar in the diet. Amla is just another name for Indian gooseberries, and these have a lot of benefits from lowering cholesterol, lowering inflammation, lowering blood sugar response to meals. It's probably the most antioxidant-rich food, period, hands down. It has more antioxidants than blueberries, more antioxidants than the saya berry, more antioxidants than chia seeds. It's ORAC score. ORAC, O-R-A-C, stands for oxygen radical absorption capacity, and that's referring to these antioxidants' ability to squelch free radicals. And our AMLA score is really, really high, higher than almost any other food. So this can get in a powder or a supplement form. I prefer to get capsules because it's very, very bitter. And if you try to ever add AMLA to like a smoothie or something, which I tried, and it was just intolerable. I couldn't hack it. So finally, I just started getting the AMLA capsules, and then I can take those with meals, and that can be taken multiple times in a day. And it also has a decent amount of fiber in it as well. Multivitamin, and I put in the multivitamin category things like fish oil, probiotic, multivitamin. These things can have benefits from an appetite and energy production perspective. Not to mention, if you're getting a really good probiotic, there are actually some probiotics that are in clinical studies on humans were shown to help with a reduction in weight loss or in weight, and they've actually found that naturally lean people have strains of probiotics that are lacking or almost non-existent in overweight people. And I know it sounds gross, but there's literally scientists right now that are in the development of trying to figure out how to take these bacteria from basically the stool of lean donors and figure out a way to somehow implant it into overweight people with the hopes that these bacteria may be able to help them naturally lose weight. Because we're seeing that these bacteria play a huge role in weight loss and maintaining a healthy weight. Omega-3s help lower inflammation, and algae oil is one of the best sources of omega-3s. And then multivitamin, one of the biggest evidences that a multivitamin, if you get a really good quality one, might be beneficial for particularly appetite suppression, is because we know that the brain is not only looking for calories, but it needs to tell you some way to say, hey, I need potassium, I need iodine, I need vitamin B. And how does your brain inform you when your B12 is low? All your brain knows is that when B12 is low, the only way to get it is I need to eat something. So appetite goes up in response. And so, for example, one study on mice, now it is on mice, but I think we can extrapolate and say we can see a similar result in humans. One group of mice was given sugar water, which had lots of calories, with a multivitamin. The other group was given just sugar water, no multivitamin. So they were specifically essentially getting calories, but no vitamins. And what they found was that the animals that were getting the sugar water with no vitamin would just drink and drink and drink and drink and drink, and they would consume significantly more calories than the animals who had the sugar water and vitamin, indicating to the scientists that there was something missing that the animal's brain could pick up on that was devoid in that diet that was just pure sugar, and subsequently it triggered appetite to go higher than normal, causing the animals to overeat. So if we can make sure our vitamins and minerals are there, they not only help promote natural healthy metabolism and energy production like our B vitamins, but they may even have appetite suppression benefits to help us feel more full as we go throughout our day. Protein powder, there's lots of different protein powders. One of my favorites are, particularly especially for those who are trying to lose weight, are essential amino acids rather than say just a general protein powder. EAAs, unlike regular protein powder, just contain the essential amino acids, the ones that we as humans need that our body cannot make. And what the advantage with these types of products are over, say, just a conventional protein powder, is that whenever we overconsume protein from non-essential amino acids that our body doesn't need, the body has to essentially get rid of those. And in order to get rid of those, it will down-regulate fat burning at the expense of protein oxidation. So meaning your body will say, I'll just burn less fat today, and I'll just burn more protein to get rid of those extra amino acids you gave me that I don't really need. One way we can kind of sort of slice through that and avoid that from ever happening is to consume our amino acids, our protein, in an essential amino acid formula that doesn't give us a whole bunch of extra amino acids that we don't really have any need for. So I don't want to say that all protein powders are bad, and I myself will consume protein powders once in a while, but my favorite are essential amino acids, especially if your goal is fat loss. On that same token, you may find some people find that having like a protein-based meal replacement shake can be a quick, convenient way to get a meal in without having to measure the calories. You know if it's going to be 1 scoop or 2 scoops, and you're going to have all your calories right there. You got a complete meal and for example, this product, Raw Meal, is nice because it's got a lot of these things in it. It's got the multivitamin, it's got protein, it's got probiotics, it's got vegetables, it's got a fiber. So in that one shake, you're getting a bunch of the things all in one thing. So that for many people is a nice convenient way to get all that in one big scoop. Last two here, herbal tea, I already mentioned. Oolong tea is a great one, but really all herbal teas contain all sorts of benefits that have been researched with weight loss. And that's why you'll see things like, you got this one here, it's Hiley's Weight Loss Kit. herbal supplement, right? So this is a, you know, tea marketed as a weight loss supplement, and that's just, again, because there's just so much research showing that herbal teas contain all sorts of compounds, chemicals that affect the brain and our ability to especially suppress appetite and increase leptin sensitivity, not to mention fighting inflammation. So getting some good quality herbal teas and drinking those throughout the day, and that's one of the reasons I recommended for many of you guys to make that hibiscus Kool-Aid, right, and drink that throughout the day. But have some variety with those teas, because that can be really helpful. And then lastly, this is one I put at the bottom of the list because it's probably one of the most, I would say, I don't want to say controversial, but it's one of the ones where I love it, but not everybody agrees, and that is a pre-workout. Now, pre-workouts there's lots of them out there. The downside with pre-workouts is they tend to be pretty high in like caffeine. So if you're very sensitive to caffeine, you have to be cautious. And I would tell people start off with a very small amount and see how it affects you. But some companies go above and beyond. They really research what you want to have in a supplement to really boost performance and energy during a workout. And all I can tell you is that when I take something like this, I feel like a workout without it is totally different. So I take this and it's like I just have so much energy. I feel so much better. I go longer. I lift more weight. I have more focus. So I'm almost just like, I don't want to say addicted, but in a way, like I don't like to work out without it because I just feel such a difference that it makes me want to do it every day. But really, pre-workouts should not be taken every day. Should be maybe 3 to 5 days maximum, and then you should have some time off from them because they are, they can be high in some of these natural stimulants. But they'll contain things like this one will contain many of the things we already touched on here, like creatine, beetroot powder, arginine, betaine, all these other things we don't have time to go into. And I like this company, NutraBio, and I like this product Pre in their natural line that comes in a sweet tea or a green apple that is no sucralose. So they have like their stevia and naturally sweetened. And again, even just a little bit. Another thing I love about Pre is major appetite suppression. If I have that in the morning, it'll be sometimes 5 hours and I just don't feel hungry. When I take Pre, where we actually, Joseph and I were talking about this earlier, the same thing kind of happened to him a little bit yesterday. He had some and just was not even really feeling hungry most of the day. So I like it because it just makes me eat less. So that can be a good one to think of. And in addition to that, those of you that get low blood sugar, shaky, nauseous, dizzy during a workout, you may want to consider a product like this called SuperCarb, another product of NutraBio. This is a great one to have a little bit in your water bottle. It's a low glycemic type of carbohydrate called cyclic dextrin, which is able to replenish muscle glycogen and keep your blood sugar levels stable without spiking insulin. So, and again, in studies on endurance athletes like swimmers, showed significant improvement in their overall performance when supplementing with something like SuperCarb. And I love it because it's relatively low in calories, it tastes sweet but doesn't spike your blood sugar through the roof, and it gives you really good steady energy in the workout so you don't get that shaky, nauseous kind of feeling. And ideally, you want to drink this before that hits you, right? Because by the time you're already getting nauseous and shaky, it's already almost, I don't want to say too late, but now it's going to take you a little while to bounce back and recover. So sometimes you're going to have to stop in the middle of a workout just to try to get your, so you don't feel sick to your stomach. And SuperCarb can be a way to sort of preemptively avoid that. Not to mention it can be very convenient for people who work out first thing in the morning because they don't want to get up and eat a whole meal. They're going to go work out. You can just simply take a scoop of this along with, let's say, your caffeine and L-theanine, or a cup of coffee maybe, and drink that on your way to the workout, and then you're good to go. Very minimal calories. Your blood sugar levels are right where they need to be, and you're all set to take off. So that is the top 10 fat loss supplements. Hope you found something useful. See you guys later.